Okay, I do see the numbers beginning to slow down, so I think we get started with our session. Thank you all again for coming on to our session in regards to career clusters. My name is Alexander Ma. I am one of the admissions counselors at Binghamton University. I am regionally based, and what that means is that I actually live in Brooklyn and work in Brooklyn, New York City, working for Binghamton remotely all year long, even for the pandemic, the quarantine, on all that not so fun stuff. Today we are working together in collaboration with our office, our Fleischman Career Center, which is very helpful in terms of helping you with your career goals and kind of putting you on the right path and what are next steps while you're a student, also as you graduate too. So I would like to turn it over to Cassandra. You'd like to introduce yourself really quickly?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra Spencer. I'm the Assistant Director of Internships and Career Education in the Fleischman Center.
Great, awesome. We also have a couple students as well, but I'm going to save their introductions towards the end when they get to their piece. So I'll share my screen right now just because we did start a couple of minutes late. This session is for Binghamton University, which is part of SUNY, the State University of New York system, the largest public school system in the United States. So in SUNY, there are a total of 64 different schools you can apply to. There are big schools, small schools in all different shapes and sizes. They're located in other cities, in rural areas. So SUNY is pretty much spread all over throughout New York State. How Binghamton is different than the other 63 SUNYs is that we are known as the #1 public university in New York State. So we by far have the highest academic standards compared to the other SUNYs. We're considered a premier public institution, and we're considered like a public Ivy, so that Ivy League level education at a public price. At Binghamton, there are a total about 14,000 undergraduate students on campus every single day. We're also including graduate students to the mix. That's an additional 4,000, so 18,000 altogether. So we're not too big, not too small. We are considered a medium-sized college. So if you want to meet somebody new every single day on Binghamton's campus, you are more than welcome to do so. However, you're just not another face in the crowd. Something that we're really proud of, if you can see on the bottom right, is our retention rate. So we have a 92% retention rate for our first year students and an 88% retention rate for our transfer students. And retention rate just pretty much means that the students that come to Binghamton, they're happy here, they like the other students, the classes, the people, whatever it may be. They do return back to Binghamton the following year and are also likely to graduate from Binghamton too. So we're extremely proud of that retention rate, as you can see there. So at Binghamton, there are 6 different schools, 6 different colleges that make up the university as a whole. So we have the Harper College of Arts and Sciences, we have the College of Community and Public Affairs, the Decker College of Nursing, School of Management. We also have a new School of Pharmacy, which is a graduate level program. And last but not least is our Watson College of Engineering. Altogether, we have roughly about 130 areas of study broken down to 6 different schools. But today, we're not going to be talking about all these different majors, different schools. We're specifically talking about arts and communication and that specific career cluster. And at this point, I'll turn it back over to Cassandra, and she'll talk a little bit more about the different outcomes you can have with these career clusters, different types of internships, and things you can do on campus, essentially.
Thanks. So the idea behind a career cluster is pulling together similar types of career paths. Career clusters connect students to people, information, and resources that help you to explore your options within these career clusters. So you can see a list of the career clusters on this slide and kind of a little bit of information about different paths and opportunities within each of those clusters. But today we are going to focus on the arts and communications cluster. We can go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So within the arts and communication cluster, it's important to know that within any career cluster, your major doesn't dictate your career. And that's really what we aim to focus on through the career cluster model that our career center focuses on. So some career opportunities that can come from the arts and communications cluster do include things like art and communications, but also career areas related to marketing or media, graphic design, event planning, things of that nature. Careers in arts and communications typically do have a focus on written and oral communication skills. Students within this cluster tend to think creatively and have opportunity to express that creativity through different mediums, which could be artistic expression and things like that, but can also be done in a variety of ways. We've also listed out some of the majors that can be connected to the arts and communication cluster, but again, it doesn't have to be a perfect match. So a lot of students who do get information from the arts and communications cluster are studying things like English, music, cinema, graphic design, theater, things of that nature. But we also work with a lot of students within this cluster who are studying things like political science or chemistry, human development, history, or economics, among many, many other majors that are offered at Binghamton, who are looking to use that foundational education that they're gaining from their major and using it in a different or unique way within one of these careers within the arts and communication cluster. Perfect. So then on to some of the opportunities. Here you can see just several of the many, many companies that we work with and companies that specifically seek out students who are gaining the skills that would come from being involved in the arts and communication career cluster. Some additional internship and job opportunities that have been in our system and open for Binghamton University students to apply to very recently have included opportunities like being a technical writer with IBM, being an intern at the Music Player magazine, doing email marketing coordination, communications internships, graphic design internships, and so many other opportunities. We really see a lot of options for students within this cluster to gain experience throughout their time at Binghamton, and then also long-term career opportunities for them as well after graduation. Great. And then just a couple resources that we have for students. Binghamton has a lot of student organizations and clubs that students can join at any point in their Binghamton experience. Just a couple that are related to this cluster as an opportunity for students to meet other students who have similar interests and similar career paths, or to kind of try out these fields a little bit, would include things like our campus literary magazine and the student-run newspaper. We also have a fine arts society, radio that students can be part of, studio design agency, and so many others. So lots of ways for students to gain experience and to kind of get a taste of what some opportunities might be like within this field pretty early on and throughout their entire Binghamton experience. And then we also have careertools.binghamton.edu, which you should be able to access even before you're a student at Binghamton, where you can see additional resources that are tailored specifically for the career cluster, as well as articles and blogs, a list of internships, and all of that type of stuff. Once students are enrolled at Binghamton, they can sign up for weekly emails that will include updates and events, industry advice, and more. Perfect. And then for all Binghamton students, we do look at outcomes. Where do students go once they have completed their time at Binghamton in terms of both careers and additional education? So again, you can access all of this information. This is just a snapshot of English graduates from 2017 to 2019. So it will be updated soon with 2020 information as well. But through Bing Career Destinations, you can see a list of where students went on to get additional education, or also a list of titles that they have had and different organizations that they've worked on or worked at, to give you an idea of where students are going and what they're doing. And that link is right there on the slide if you want to take a quick screenshot screenshot or write that down so that you can look at outcomes for any major at the university, whether within the arts and communication cluster or outside of that as well. And then this is just a quick video of one of our alum, Rachel Greenespan. She graduated in 2018 and is working as a digital culture reporter at Insider. And she shared some tips that should play right now for us. Going live with Rachel Greenespan. She graduated in 2018, so we will get started with that shortly once she gets on. If you have questions for Rachel, she'll introduce herself as soon as she's on. But if you have questions, you can use the question feature down below, and we will get started shortly. I just requested you, so that should come through. Awesome. If you're just joining, we're going live with Rachel. She's connecting right now, so she should be coming in. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Cassie?
I'm good. I'm so excited. This is our first all-in alumni live lunch interview, so I love that you're our first guest.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me. So fun to be here, and for the viewers to know, I used to work with Cassie in the Fleischman Center, so It's especially fun.
Yes, so fun to have a familiar face here with me. So do you want to start by just introducing yourself to everyone and kind of letting them know a little bit maybe about what your Binghamton experience was like and also what you're doing now?
Yes, totally. So I graduated in 2018 from Binghamton. I was an English major with a French minor. And at Binghamton, I was in Sigma A Pi sorority. I worked at the Fleischman Center. I was in Kas Kesset, the Jewish a cappella group. And what did I miss? Oh, Pipe Dream, duh, the most important one. I was an editor at Pipe Dream, the student newspaper. And I had an amazing time at Binghamton, huge fan of Binghamton. And then after school, I went to work at Time Magazine, where I was for a little over a year and a half. And then recently, actually, at the end of March, I just started working at Insider Inc., where I'm a digital culture reporter, which is kind of maybe a confusing title to some people, but basically I write about anything happening on the internet. So memes, influencers, misinformation, social media, technology, apps, anything happening on the internet I write about.
Awesome. Is there anything either in your previous position or now that you were like super excited to write about, or anything that you're like, whoa, I can't believe I'm writing about this and this is my job?
Ooh, I love that question. Honestly, I've had so many moments like that. I feel that I've been very, very lucky in what I've gotten to do in my career so far. I mean, just the fact that what I'm writing about now for my full-time job is a topic that I have always been obsessed with. I was like a kid who was watching YouTube instead of TV all the time. And I just love the internet and influencers and everything related. So basically every day I have one of those moments. I'm trying to think. Recently I wrote a profile of Dixie D'Amelio, who's Charlie D'Amelio's older sister.
Right.
So she's one of the biggest stars on TikTok. So I felt like really excited to be able to kind of talk to her and show readers the personality behind one of these big figures. And I thought it was interesting too, to give a look into like the life of one of the top people who isn't at the top, if that makes sense. So, you know, her sister is the most followed person on the app, and she is super, super, super famous in her own right, but people don't maybe know as much about her. So that was an interesting piece for me to write.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, and I think I'll stop the video over here and I'll turn it back over to Cassandra.
Perfect. Thanks. So that's an example of a series that we do in the Fleischman Center. That was me interviewing Rachel. But we do a series called All In Alumni Live Lunch Interviews, where we interview recent alumni and they talk about their career a little bit. So that was Rachel sharing a little bit about the work that she's doing at Insider right now. All of our All In recordings are available on either the Fleischman Center Instagram, on our IGTV, or also accessible on YouTube. So it's about a 20-minute interview that I did with Rachel, and all of that is available on YouTube. But definitely a good opportunity to hear from some recent alumni and to see what they're doing now. Perfect. And then just a little more information about alumni career success within the Arts and Communications cluster. We have a platform called Mentor Match where students can connect directly with alumni like Rachel and many, many others, connecting Binghamton students with those alumni. So alumni that want to work with you and want to help you along your career path, navigate that path and explore their career options. So it's a system where a student fills out their profile and it will match them with alumni who have similar interests and help them facilitate that outreach. You can also see what Binghamton alumni are doing on LinkedIn by going to Binghamton University's page on LinkedIn, clicking on alumni, and then filtering by what alumni studied, what careers they're in, or filtering by other keywords as well.
That's your piece my camera's on, for your presentation piece at least. At this point, I would transition it over to a couple of our students and their experience at Binghamton also be in the arts and communication field. So Jenny, if you'd like to go first.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm a senior studying business administration. And then I also plan on pursuing marketing after I graduate. So my work experience is that I work at the Fleischman Center doing marketing. I'm a communication specialist, so I do a lot of social media content and email writing. And then this past summer, I also had a marketing internship with a mobile marketing tech company in the city. So there's a lot of like research, marketing research, and then social media and campaign analysis, things like that. And then on campus, I'm also involved with Tamid, where I do pro bono consulting for startup companies in Israel. So that's really great business experience. I'm also really involved with Chabad and Hillel. And then in terms of the Fleischman Center, I really like their networking events. That's really helpful for me. So there's the job and internship fair, which happens once a semester. So it's a great way to meet professionals from different career clusters and different industries, things like that, and to put your name out there. And then there's also the Alumni Career Connections events, which is like a smaller event where an alumni comes and speaks about their career trajectory. So that's really been helpful to me, getting my name out there, expanding my network, and learning about different opportunities.
Awesome, great. Thank you very much, Jenny, for sharing that. And Kaylin, if you'd like to share your story as well.
Hi, my name's Kaylin. I'm currently a sophomore majoring in psychology and minoring in education. Upon entering college, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I came in thinking I'd do pre-med, and then I kind of realized quickly that wasn't for me. But then I started finding some opportunities on campus. I became the vice president of social programming for Mountain View College. If you're not familiar with that, that is one of our residential communities on campus. And then I ended up applying for an internship the spring of my freshman year at the Fleischman Center. It was called Career Corps, and we got to interact with students and learn about all different things in the career services industry. And then after that, I actually got the opportunity to receive a paid job through the Fleischman Center as a peer consultant and come back and work. So that was awesome for the fall of last year. And then this semester, I was also promoted now to a senior peer consultant, where I meet with students on my own and give advice on resumes, cover letters, internships, networking, things like that, which is so much fun and something I definitely want to continue into my professional career. Also on the education minor steering committee, which is the largest minor on campus, and we are a group of students who create classes for the minor and control who gets accepted, stuff like that. So there's a bunch of opportunities, things I never thought that I would join, and I love every minute of it. So yeah.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much, Kaylin. And thank you, both our student speakers and Cassandra, for talking about arts and communication. So at this point, I should turn it over to our attendees, the viewers right now, in case you have any questions for us you want us to answer live for you. So feel free to pop that into the Q&A, and I'll delegate the type of questions. I'll go through to the different panelists right now. So one question did come in a little bit earlier, and I think this might be a good question for you to answer, Cassandra. It's talking about a student who has a couple of reservations about coming to Binghamton, just because we don't have a communication or a journalism major, like, explicitly. So they just want to know, like, even though if they're not majoring in communication or journalism, can they have a career in that in the future? Even if they major in something like English or graphic design or something else, even.
Yeah, this is a great question. And I really understand that reservation about not seeing the exact major at Binghamton. But I think you can definitely still come to Binghamton and major in something similar like English or graphic design or something along those lines and still be very successful with careers related to communications, journalism, things along that lines. And that's really why we have moved forward with this career cluster model, because it provides students with the opportunity to major in things that are interesting to them while also exploring other career paths that are related, and really showing students that your major does not dictate the career that you're going into. I also think Rachel's a really good example of students who she studied English and French, and she's working, for a major publication and has worked for major publications. And she is by far one of many students who have been very successful working in communications and journalism without a major directly in that area. I would also encourage you to look at the Binghamton Career Destinations information, because you can filter by some of the majors that you're looking at or considering at Binghamton to see what students went on to do after graduation.
Awesome. Great. Thank you very much. I know in the middle of the presentation, you talked about the link for different student outcomes at Binghamton. So I will actually drop that link into the chat box for the viewers to check that out after this presentation. The next question that came in is actually for our student speakers. What has been your favorite classes or professors? If Jenny or Kaylin like to go first.
I could go first. I had a professor, Ryan Vaughn, for 2 semesters. He teaches pop culture classes. So my freshman year, he taught a class called It's Always Sunny in Binghamton, where we basically watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and analyzed the different episodes. And then this semester, I am currently taking a stand-up comedy nation class. So we watch different stand-up comedy acts and then also analyze those and write about them. So it's been really
For me, I loved Education 410 and Education 406, which are both the 2 required majors for the classes for the education minor. They're super fun. You look at different schools and see the problems and figure out solutions for them. I mean, we had one class where we just taught our professor all the common slang terms that teenagers use nowadays. And I think we had a list of over 100 on the board, which was pretty cool. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Great. Awesome. Thank you very much. A couple other questions came in and talk about different job opportunities for students looking to study in the arts, theater, and cinema. And Cassandra, do you know any kind of partnerships we have in either the local community or in other cities or states for these different career opportunities in cinema, art, or theater?
Yeah, great question. So through the theater and cinema departments on campus, there are opportunities to get involved, whether that be through productions that are happening on campus or virtually right now, or specific partnerships that they have for their students once you're enrolled in that department. In addition to that, through the Fleischman Center, every January, we do a big event called Bing in the City. In New York City, we typically are physically there for a big networking event and also employer treks. So giving students the opportunity to physically go visit companies that typically have alumni at them to see their space, to learn about the work that they do. And our theater department does their own set of treks during that time. So an opportunity for specifically theater students to go and meet other Binghamton alumni who are working in all areas of theater in New York City. And that's just one of many examples for students to get involved within those fields. We also have a number of alumni who are doing either independent work specifically with cinema that have started their own companies or are doing, independent work in various realms of cinema that have been very active in filling out different blogs and connecting with students through Mentor Match and that type of thing as well. So definitely a lot of opportunities to gain that experience and to get connected with alumni who 100% understand your reservations and have been through it and are out in the world and, successfully having jobs in the fields that they're passionate about.
Great, awesome, thanks. And kind of as a follow-up that just came in is how does the location of Binghamton impact relations opportunities that are not located in Binghamton?
Yeah, great question. I think that the location of Binghamton is kind of a win-win because you get this opportunity to be on a campus, and I'm sure our students can speak to this as well. So you get that opportunity to develop some really solid relationships with faculty, with people on campus, and things like that. And Binghamton is a smaller market, so there are companies and organizations in the local area that need and are looking for people who have an interest in cinema and theater and other things like that. So it's a really good opportunity for you to start to gain that experience here while you are a student. But then you also have that win-win of we have so many alumni in New York City and so many connections in New York City and other major cities across the country as well. So when you are then looking for those opportunities as well, we can help support you in doing that. So I think of it as a win-win. I don't know if I want, if either of our students want to speak about the location and opportunities, I think it'd be valuable to hear that as well.
I can go. I think that where you are really, it doesn't matter in my situation personally, because I think that you're going to receive opportunities no matter where you go. And there's always going to be alumni in a city that you might want to try or somewhere you could reach out. I think it's really more about the school that fits you best and not really the location.
Also to add on is that since Binghamton is such like a small community, I know like my friends are in a class where they get to have an internship with a local company. So that's a really great experience to have as a student that it might be harder to get like if you're in a city school per se, because there's so much competition there. But also like during interviewing season, like the city is close enough that you're able to really travel back to the city for interviews, and you're really able to make sure that you're gonna have a career in a place that you want.
Awesome, great, thank you very much. I think this is actually coming to an end of our webinar, and I thank you all the attendees and our panelists for taking your time to speak to everyone and for you to listen to us talk about Binghamton and the Arts and Communication Career Cluster. If you have any other questions in the future or things might pop up, please check out our admissions website. You could give us a call. We have a live Zoom counselor chat from Monday to Friday from 10 to 5 p.m., which I think is pretty helpful. But thank you, everyone. And this session might be, believe recorded and posted later on at a future date. So you'll get an email about that when that's up and ready. Thank you, everyone.